Wanna be a boss, do it like I do. Yeah, get that money on flex. I 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 get that money on flex.
And hello, everybody, and we are here. It is time for the ERO Season 11 reveal. Hello, everyone. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm not going to do this whole intro, but my name is Cameron Don. You probably know me. I have been the man putting in all the time. Well, been putting in a load of the time for this season. And yeah, hopefully it's going to be a great season for season 11. And I can just put some stuff out here right now. So I'm just looking in the chat. It's nice to see that there's 55 people in the stream. Don't forget to like the stream as well, because this normally grid reveals are always quite big. In ERO, of course, there's always been the stream for the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 seasons. Might have actually been since the very start, I'm not entirely sure. But as many of you know, Wodge has stepped down from the main league controller. I guess you could kind of say that. He's still the owner, but I am the league manager now. I got brought in as a admin just in the middle of season 10, and that was for me to take over in ERO. I was originally not entirely sure, but after some persuading, I've done it, and I'm incredibly happy that I've went ahead and actually done this. So I know all of yous are waiting. Yeah, these people saying just to reveal it. So we have 3 things to reveal today. We have the calendar, which will be the first thing which we are doing. We are then having our special announcement and a reveal to something which I have mainly been working on by myself in the background. Not even, well, the other admins know about it. Everyone as well would know about it if you've paid attention. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and we are going to get right into it. We're not going to waste any time. The Brazilian F1 Grand Prix has ended, so let's get underway. And like I said, first we will be going to reveal the calendar for season 11. So, as you can see right here, there is no tracks because I'm going to reveal them one by one. As you can see, here is the times for the calendar. So the first 6 rounds will be up until the Christmas, where we then will have our Christmas and winter break, and we will then return back for round 7s till 12 in 2024, and we will be ending the last race of season 11 will be the 11th of February. So yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. So let's get into this. So I just want to have a little prediction game here. Take a guess, everyone, about what the first track will be. Sorry if it's laggy, by the way, because I am currently running a higher bitrate than I normally do. So it might be a bit laggy, and I'm sorry if it is. It shouldn't be, but hopefully it isn't. But yeah, everyone take a guess at what the first track will be, or do you just want me to get into it and just do a bit of description? So Bastian says Monaco. It's an interesting guess. There is Saudi, Bahrain, Jeddah, Bahrain, Spa. Well, I can say this: nobody has got it right yet. Frank saying Miami, Rodwell saying Saudi Arabia, Monaco. Well, I am pleased to reveal that the first track for season 11 will be Hungary. Yeah, a very different track for round 1, but I think it's going to be good. So, just in 5 days' time will be the first race of season 11, which we will see the lowest PlayStation tiers racing. So yeah, next week is Hungary, and I'm really looking forward to it. And you know what? I'm just gonna fly through it. I want to see people's reactions. There are quite a few dubs, which is interesting to see. The next track. Next track is featured maybe in every single season in the Arrow, and the last two seasons, season 9 and season 10, it has been the finale. But for this season, it will feature in round 2, and that is the Grand Prix which has just ended in real life, which is Brazil. Yes, Brazil is going to be round 2. Very, very different to where it normally has been in the ERO calendar. As I'm just stops. That has been a sort of aim for us for this season is to combine calendars from different leagues into this calendar to offer some good practice for the drivers who are racing in Aero. It also brings in the drivers as well, as we are aiming big in a very short amount of time in Aero. For example, season 12 is massively planned. We're already planning season 12, season 13, and so on. So yeah, however, I'm gonna reveal the next two tracks to see what everyone thinks about these two. Both are in Europe. Uh, both are very good tracks, I would say, in my opinion. One of them possibly the best track on the game. So for round 3, the last race of November, we will be going to the Netherlands, and for the first race in December 2023, we will be going to Austria. So a few interesting tracks there. Of course, both European, as I said. Let me know what you all think. It's been revealed now, so I'm interested to see what you all think, because I'm hoping it's going to be good reactions. Again, I'm talking about the PSGL. Lincoln, Austria, I believe, is a linked track with PSGL calendar, but yeah, Dutch and Austria. Rodwell Happy is home Grand Prix. David Clarkson, Monza. Is it Emilia Romagna? Well, I can reveal it is Emilia Romagna. Monza was very, very close to featuring on the calendar because, as you all will know, we do the voting for the calendars. So, yeah, the top 12 tracks, Monza was 13th, one vote off featuring on the calendar. It was very, very close, and it would have replaced the track which is 10th on the calendar, which will be revealed very, very soon. Yeah, Imola is on the track, and there is no Monza. I can say now there is no Monza. So, yeah, it's interesting to see. However, we now go to Asia, and we go to a track for the final race before the Christmas break. It's a track which has just recently featured a new track update on the game and in real life as well, and that is the track of Singapore. So Singapore will be our final race for 2023 in a whole, actually, and it will be round 6 for season 11 in ERO. I just want to see what's. Everyone said Japan. Japan has received changes, has it? I don't know if Japan's received changes or not. Anyway, moving on. After the Christmas break, we are going to, of course, return back, as you can see, with the dates on the 5th, which is, of course, Friday. And a few of these tracks, I will. Bear with me 1 second. We have 3 in Europe. And I can reveal I'm actually going to do all 3. So I want to see what you all think of this. We have 3 European tracks, and I would say these 3 European tracks are probably the best, a few of the best European tracks. As Wodge has just put out a poll, pick the better Italian track. Yes, you can vote on that while I'm going to reveal the next 3 tracks. So, for round 7, we are going to be going to the very sunny track of Spain in Barcelona. And then for round 8, we will be going to a fan favourite track. We will be going to Belgium for Spa. And for round 9, we will be going also to a fan favourite, was actually the most voted track on the calendar, which is Great Britain. So we will be going to Barcelona, then Brussels, wherever Belgium is held, and then we will be going to Silverstone. So yes, it's a very interesting 3 races there. I want to see what you all think about it. Silverstone is, some saying it's good, some saying it's bad. It's nice to see the different opinions. And then, so round 7, round 8, round 9, we done 3 European tracks. For the final 3 races, similar to season 10, I believe, we end up going to 3 Asian tracks. It's held in Spa, hence the name Spa. Oh. Be quiet, okay? I'm dumb, remember. So, okay, so let's forget about me saying it takes place in Brussels, and let's move on to round 10, 11, and 12, okay? So, like I said, the 3 Asian tracks, people are saying Japan, people are saying Qatar. Well, I'm having to reveal, round 10, this was the track which I said was 1 vote off being off the calendar, and that is Bahrain. For round 11, we're going to be going into the desert for Qatar, and for the final Grand Prix, for the finale of ERO, it will be Saudi Arabia. We will be going to Jeddah for the finale of this season in ERO, and the whole point with that bit of ending there is we want the final races to be massive, as in, if there's any championships fight going into Saudi Arabia, who knows what can happen? That is the question. Nobody's saying no Japan. Well, I was talking about Monza was being close. Japan was also very close. Japan, I believe, was actually 14th. And of course, there's only 12 here. Monza and Japan were close to getting on the calendar, but they just fell a few votes short. So, that is your calendar for this season. We're going to skip back to me because I have to see this with me being here. So, if any of you have been paying attention, you will know that we have had graphics done. Also, by the way, I forgot to say this. These graphics, thank you to Rolly for doing them. Of course, you will know, well, if you do, ERO has partnered with EXA. It's a other league which is owned by Rolly, and Rolly is a very experienced graphic designer. Been doing graphic designs for, I think he's 10 years plus or something, he said. And he's been doing all these graphics. So thank you, Rolly, for doing these graphics for the streams and then also for social media as well. Something about social media as well. We will be active again on social media. The aim is to be posting probably nearly every day. Definitely 3, 4, 5 posts every week on the likes of Twitter. Hopefully we'll be active on Instagram. We'll hopefully also be active on TikTok as well. But it's time to do the special reveal. I'm sorry for boring everyone, but like, this right here is massive and everyone will love this. I'm pleased to announce that ERO now has a new main title sponsor. If anybody has been paying attention to graphics, you will know this sponsor, and I'm very happy to have them along with us for Season 11 ERO. So I can now happily reveal that our new main title sponsor for ERO is Sim Racing Centre. If you don't know about Sim Racing Centre, you may be slightly living under a rock. Sim Racing Centre pretty much makes esport level setups, and these setups are made by esport engineers, like for example Johan Martins, who's a racer, but he also is a engineer as well. He was an engineer in Ferrari, I think. I can't entirely remember. So, I mean, if a few people seem a bit shocked in the chat, well, all of yous, well, I mean, really only Nicholas, who's saying L. Well, having, as you can see as well, also, if you're ever making a purchase on the website is simracingcentre.com, I'm pretty sure. But as you can see, use code ERO for 5% off in any purchase. A track, you're able to purchase a track for, I believe, €5. So 5% off, you can do the math. Anyway, this is something also massive, which has been provided by us from Foresee. Get into this and let's see what everyone thinks. So as you can see, the prize pool isn't just quite small, it is €280 worth of prizes. Yeah, like that's massive, and I was quite shocked with it myself. But absolutely love that we have Sim Racing Centre on board with us. This has been made possible by Sim Racing Centre, and yeah, very happy to have them here. £240, €280 worth of prizes. Also, this kind of reveals in a way as well how many tiers there is. As you can see, there's Crossplay, PlayStation F1, F2 and F3 and F4. So there is 5 tiers for this season. It sounds a lot less than it usually is, but there is a main reason for that, and that is to battle bad attendance, because of course the last few seasons the attendance has been quite appalling. It's not been great, and I have been somebody just watching it get worse and worse and worse. Like for example, the final race in season 10, out of the 7-8 tiers, it only had like 2, maybe 3 tiers racing. So yeah, it's interesting to see. But anyway, the crossplay, you might have probably read this already yourself. The crossplay and PlayStation F1 champion will gain full setup access to all F1 tracks on the game, to all 26 tracks. That right there, for anyone who doesn't know, to purchase all setups for all tracks on Sim Racing Centre is €75, which is around £60 to £65, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's €75, £60 to £65, but you can just win a tier and you get all setups. It makes sense. And then for the PlayStation F2, F3, and F4, you gain setup access to 12 tracks, and these will be the 12 tracks which are going to feature on next season's calendar. So pretty much, you win this season, you gain yourself a massive advantage for next season, as you will have the setups for each and every track, which will be on the calendar, which therefore, can give you a good advantage. And that all right there, to do the 12 setups, that is €45. So you do 45 times 3 and 75 times 2, you add it together, that gives you €280. So, very happy to have Sim Racing Centre on board. But I think, let it load, I think it's now about time to do the grid reveals. And I know that's what you have all been waiting on. We've done 2 of the 3 things. We've done the calendar. We've done the sponsor. But it's now time to move on to the grids. And I've just got to say thank you to Rolly for these graphics as well. And also thank you to myself for putting in the time for this, because it has been it has took a lot of time. So yes, we will now move on to the grids. So here is what the graphic looks like, and then we will move on to the actual reveal. So here is the graphic for revealing the grids. Of course, like we were saying, there's five tiers for this season in season 11. I'm really looking forward to it, as you can see. So I really like this graphic, which Rolly has done. Quite easy to edit and add the screens as well. So, just want to see what everyone's thinking. Watch, I uploaded out of context. Oh no, I have said so. He's probably done. Watch has probably done the Brussels. Probably. Anyway, it is now time to reveal the grids. So, we are first going to start off with the Crossplay tier. And this tier has 3 different platforms on it. It has Steam drivers, Origin drivers, and Xbox drivers. So, here we go. This is the first tier reveal for Season 11, which is the Crossplay tier. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of reserves. There is a total of 37 drivers in this tier, and you may be quite surprised about how many there is actually in this tier. And the main reason is the Crossplay tier has always been bad with attendance, and we didn't have enough drivers who signed up from Steam to, well, we had enough drivers from Steam who signed up, but it was mainly all of them reserves. So, yeah, as people are saying, Dempsey. So, yeah, let me just go through the grid. So, you can see in the reserves, there is quite a few main people in the reserves. And first of all, like everyone has been saying, Dempsey. Yeah, Drake Dempsey has signed up yet again for ERO Season 11. However, it will be as a reserve. This is because of his availability. The time also, the reveal as well. Harry in here as well, ABS Harry. So, yeah, the times of the races for the crossplay tier will be Saturday, 7 p.m. UK time. The reason that is that time is because it is the time which the drivers are most available. Unfortunately, that has meant quite a few drivers haven't ended up getting placed, but it had to be done, unfortunately, in UK, and is on Steam, Xbox, Origin, can sign up for this tier. So let's just do a quick run through the grid. So like I said, Drake Dempsey is a reserve, and we have a few other top drivers in the reserves, the likes of Andres Yodal, who is TTL Esports. We also have Alfie Smith, who won the crossplay tier last season in season 10. And we have a few others as well. In the reserves, quite a few debutees. We have, just going to go through the names. We have De Jong, Mans, Kukin, Witz, Timmers. I'm going to say some of these names so wrong. You know what? I'm not even going to say them. You can solve them yourselves. Moving to the full-time drivers, in the Red Bull, we have 2 people who are incredibly talented and both come from the ABS esports team. That is Heinun's Harry. Hold on, sorry, my voice is away. We have Harry Nuns and we have Matthew Bassett. They will both be pairing in the Red Bull, hopefully, in future seasons. Well, not future seasons. Hopefully, in season 12, we will have individual Steam tiers. But yeah, hopefully we'll have individual Steam tiers. We will be doing big prize pools as well to bring the drivers in, and hopefully Harry and Matthew will stay for that. Then in the Mercedes, we have two UK drivers. We have Dixon and Veach. Veach representing Scotland. Then in the Ferrari, we have Schubert and Jordal. I want to say Jordal, but I might be wrong. Those two are friends, and they both wanted to be in the Ferrari, and they managed to get placed in the Ferrari. Then in the McLaren, we have the two Hungarian drivers, also friends, wanting to be teammates, wanting to be McLaren, and it has happened, and that is Ballant and Laszlo. Probably said that wrong, and I'm sorry. Moving on to Aston Martin, we have Simon Aberg, and I believe the first ever Iraq driver in ERO of Alberoni. Then into Alpine, we have both steam drivers of Bodine and Kinnable. Then in the Haas, we have Santos and Zalewski. Probably said that wrong because of the L. In the Alfa Romeo, we have Rodriguez and Nordling. In the AlphaTauri, we have Matthews and Rusnak. And lastly, in the Williams, we have Carlson and Matokes. I don't know. I don't know how you say that. Anyway, yeah, so that is the Crossplay grid. Out of the 20 drivers on the full-time drivers on the grid, 18 of them on Steam. So it's pretty much a Steam tier, with Mato being Mato is Origin and Dixon is Xbox. Apart from that, everyone else is Steam. So, JD Village says Charles moved to Crossplay. No, that is Rafael Santos. That is a different Portuguese driver. Bastian saying, wait, is Alfie Smith a reserve? Yes, Alfie is a reserve, mainly due to him also not being available at Saturday 7 p.m. UK time. He said maybe do one or two races, but would still help. So, that's the Crossplay tier. Thank you to everyone who signed up for this tier. It's very nice to see that there's still high numbers on the 3 other platforms other than PlayStation, and hopefully in the future seasons we will offer more prize money for you and also more drivers. Of course, the winner of this tier will gain full setup access to all 26 F1 tracks, so you definitely want to be winning this tier. So now we will be moving on to PlayStation F4. PlayStation F4 is the lowest grid on the PlayStation side of ERO. PlayStation side of ERO has always been very good with attendance, especially the lower tiers. So, happy to reveal, this is the PlayStation F4 grid. So, some new names, some old names, some returning names as well. A few unbanned drivers now racing here in F4. This is mainly a combination of new drivers and then F4 and F5 drivers from Season 10, mainly. However, so here is the grid. In the Red Bull, we have Bastian Fries and Joseph Hearn. Those two actually wanted to be teammates, and since they're helpers, they managed to get placed in the Red Bull first, then in the Mercedes. We have, I believe, 2 debutees actually this season, and that is Newman, Alpine Boys in F3. Well, you're just going to have to wait and see, Sergio. Then in the Ferrari, they make the return into the Ferrari. Season 10, they weren't in the Ferrari, and they say the other car, I think it was the Aston Martin, has rigged them, but they're now back in the Ferrari, and they'll challenge for the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship again, and that is Stephen Prabhu and João Santos. They're back together again, and back together again in the Ferrari. Then, in the McLaren, it's nice to see a returning face of Tim Lees, followed by the debut driver of UR. Then in the Aston Martin, we have the two Norwegian drivers of Ringsford and Johansson. Then in the Alpine, we have the runner-up from F5 last season of Toby Fennell. And then we have one returning driver, the man who did a lot of commentating, and that is Fabrizio Troncoso. Tronk raced in season 9, I believe it was. And yeah, he returns back now after being unbanned. Then there is in the Haas two legends, I will say. One returnee and one who's always been here. We have Apple Topo. Yes, Mr. Bean makes the return to ERO. Banned in season 9, I believe. Might have been season. No, it was season 9. Banned in season 9 after stuff happened. I'm not going to go into detail. But he makes his return now in the season 11, and he is in the Haas alongside Daniel. Daniel, I'm not going to pronounce your last name because I'm not going to butcher it. So, you know who you are. So, there you go. Then in the Alfa Romeo, we have another two drivers who wanted to be teammates. We have Jack Bailey, and we have the new admin in ERO of Darius Mazaheri. I've definitely said that wrong, and I'm sorry, Darius. And then in the AlphaTauri, we then have another returnee driver. We have Mark Sternagel. I don't know. I might have said it right. I'm not sure. And then the returning driver of Dave Quicker, the Dutch driver, also was banned, I believe, in season 9. Now makes the return for season 11. And then in the Williams, we have the F5 champion of Philip Kita trying to defend his championship now in F4 technically alongside most of the same drivers. And he then has the WE Greek driver of Alex Curtis alongside him in the Williams. And then in the reserve drivers, we have Magnussen from Sweden. We then have Matic. I want to say Matic, but I might be wrong. And that is actually Tibbs, if anybody knows Tibbs. He does a lot of social media managing for the top leagues. He also is a G League manager now, I believe. Yeah, so he signed up actually last minute. He was the last sign up of season 11, and he is a reserve in F4. We then have Istvan Fodder is in F4 as a reserve. We then have Eamon as a reserve. Paprocki, Bastos. We then have a debut driver of. Sorry, I'm not going to say that because I don't know how to say it, and to be perfectly honest, I don't want to make it sound bad. Luis. That's what I'm gonna. The second Portuguese. That's Luis. So Stack. I'm not gonna pronounce your last name. Because it's probably way too difficult. Like it nearly takes up the whole entire row, just for the name anyway. And the last three reserves here is Lamoris Maverick also making a return. And then we have also Socher, and then also the GOAT, Nico Hultinen. He is a F4 reserve. So that is PlayStation F4. It is now time to move on to F3, which is also, I didn't say this, F4's race time, Friday, 6 p.m. UK time. And then what we're about to go into, which is PlayStation F3, also full assists, and PlayStation F3 is Friday, 7 p.m. UK time. 1 hour later than F4, which means if attendance somehow is bad, although it shouldn't be, F4 drivers can race in F3. But here is PlayStation F3. So, quite a few, the big names in here, and a few names which you will recognise. I'm going to first go with the reserve drivers, which we first off see Yassir, who was originally last season racing for Saudi Arabia. He now races for Sudan. So yeah, he's a reserve in F3. We then have Daniel Colley. He makes a return this season as well. The CRL man, Combe Racing League, he makes a return to the ERO grids after a short break. We then have Vander Zij. Zijde? I'm not going to even try pronounce that. We then have Hoda. We then have Balasteros. Balasteros, I think that's how you say it. We then have Maltby, we have James Sullivan, we have Zarb, and we have Kekserski. So, yeah, let's get into the full-time drivers. A few people recognising a few names. So let's start. Let's actually go reverse order. So in the Williams, we have actually two of the fastest drivers in the assist tier, and that is the two Portuguese friends of Reese and Medeiros. And then in the Alpha Tarvi, we have quite a few people recognizing a name here. We have the F1 man, Jacob Tucker, alongside Yasin. Yes, Jacob Tucker is now F3. The main reason is because Jacob can no longer race on Sundays or Saturdays, and we wanted to place him in F1. Like, I will say that his times and stuff, it would have been F1, but his times weren't. And I'm sorry, Jacob, because I know you're here, but they weren't as promising. And when I put it in the amateur tier, Jacob barely made it into F3. Probably sandbagging, and we will see what happens in the season. But Jacob Tucker is in F3. Then, in the Alfa Romeo, we have the debutee of Jack, and then we have Sutral in the Alfa Romeo, not in the Alpine, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Then in the Haas, we have two returning. He is in the Haas alongside his good friend Lucas Drajda. I know they're in a VC, and I've definitely said that wrong, so I'm sorry. But yeah, they two will line up alongside each other in the Haas. Then in the Alpine, we have Yarninho, we have Desmet alongside Chris Pat. Then in the Aston Martin, we have Harrison and Ramos. People saying, is that Sergio Ramos? No, it's a guy called Axel Ramos. And the Harrison, which is alongside him, is actually Luke Harrison. Then in the McLaren, we have, well, I don't want to say a fan favourite, but I have to say he is. And that is Matthew Wrightson alongside Hughes Carlson. Hughes Carlson is line only. You'll notice that a few of the people in these tiers are either line only or no assists at all. So yeah, Matthew and Carlson line up alongside each other in the McLaren. Then in the Ferrari, we have British and Portuguese. Interesting link up there. Then in the Mercedes, we have also two of the fastest drivers from the signups. We have actually the fastest driver from the signups, which is Martin Loeb, alongside Lucas. I'm gonna call you Lucas. I'm not even gonna try pronounce the last name. Sorry for that, but I'm not even gonna try doing that. And then lastly, in the Red Bull, we then have Andres Clays, a OG in ERO, alongside Alexei. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the last name. His PSN is Alexinho, which is the name of a beatboxer. but we're not going to talk about that. So, like I said, PlayStation F3 will be, this will be Friday, 7 p.m. UK time. When it comes to, just so everyone knows, when it comes to commentators, stewards, tier coordinators, etc., still to be organised. There has been discussions, and we've kind of placed the people, but we just want to make sure that it's all correct, because, for example, commentary placements is a bit difficult because we've got to place people, like, say for Friday, there's quite a lot of commentators racing in F4 or F3. So if somebody was to commentate, if someone was racing in F4 and they were to commentate F3, F3 probably wouldn't have qualifying commentary. So, we're like trying to balance it. We're just trying to make sure. Anyway, I can tell that most of you just want to see the rest of this grid. And now we'll move on to PlayStation F2. Now I can just say PlayStation F2. The race time is Saturday, 7 p.m. UK time. It was the time with the most available drivers. So F2 will be Saturday, 7 p.m. UK time. And I'm happy to reveal this grid. I have to say, by the way, this F2 grid, possibly the best F2 grid I've ever saw. Season 8 competes with this for sure. But anyway, this is PlayStation F2 for Season 11. So, quite a few recognisable names here. I would say, like, there's a reason why I said this tier is probably going to be one of the best this season. I think it will be the best. This in PlayStation F1. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying anything bad about F3 or F4, but like the names in these top tiers are incredible. Vilza, I'm sorry. You said, am I joking to you, Cameron? I'm sorry. No. I know you want. Okay, Vilza, okay. Season 9 was good because I was racing then. So, there you go. Anyway. So, let's start off with the reserves. So, first of all, the first driver which we have is Joshua Evans. Joshua Evans has been in ERO for a long time, did do the graphics for ERO for a few seasons. He is now going to be a reserve for this season F2. And then there is Alex Wells. And people are saying, how is he a reserve? The reason why Alex is a reserve is because he can't race full time on Saturday, 7 p.m. UK time. So, unfortunately, Alex has to be placed as a reserve for that reason. Then next, we have some random guy called Cameron Dawn from Northern Ireland. There's just some random guy. And I'm joking. Yeah, I am going to be a reserve for this season. I was going to take a full-time seat, but I was like, I'm probably going to be too busy with management. So there's no point of taking a full-time seat. So yeah, I've just ended up going as a reserve. Then the two Dutch drivers as reserves here, and that is Noordover and Veerkamp. Both of those Dutch drivers were also very, very quick. Recruitment standards will be released again eventually, but that top 5 reserve list, well, Alex, me, Noordover, and Veerkamp were all within like the top 10 of the pro division, but we're all reserves. So it's interesting. And then the 4 Tsekar, I've definitely said that wrong. He represents Nigeria. He was going to be F3. However, unfortunately, he can't race on Fridays. So he was also using ABS. So he has now turned ABS off to race in F2, and he's requested to be a reserve just so that he can practice for races and do every race now and then. And then we have Swisstack as an F2 reserve. You'll be maybe a bit surprised about that. Swisstack is an F2 reserve, and then Van Akke as well. He's a debutee F2. Now we move on to the full-time drivers. In the Red Bull, we have Alex Sakota. Very common. You'll probably know him. And then in the other Red Bull, we have Goldzik, Makuch, who most people will also know about. Then we have the Mercedes. And I've got to say, looking at the lineups, this is probably the most. Well, I'm not entirely sure, but just seeing the names, this is probably one of the strongest lineups I've saw in a while in F2. Probably since either me and Jericho in Season 9 or Bashy and Jericho in Season 8. Look how I've said Jericho in both of those. Well, yet again, and for another season, Jericho Balgos is in F2. Jericho, of course, last season was F1. However, unfortunately, can no longer race full time on a Sunday and requested to be dropped down into F2 because he could race full time. And with his times, he has actually ended up being in F2. And that is alongside the man who was number one in the recruitment standings, Clement Seffern. He will do incredibly well this season, I imagine. And yeah, that Mercedes lineup will be definitely a team going for the constructors this season. Then in the Ferrari, we also have probably two fan favourites as well, and that is Paul Nadler and Enes Noka. Those two did plan on being teammates together, and I do have to say, when I got the messages about them two wanting to be together, I knew that that lineup, those two together, is going to be great. And that will also be a team, I imagine, challenging for the Constructors' title as well. Then in the McLaren, we then have the Slovakian duo of Adam Hurtos, or Limnau, and Otapa, more known as Zhenko. And a nice lineup, of course. There is no Vilzu this season. Where is he? Well, you're going to have to find out soon, because he may have went up a division. So that now means that Adam is alongside his good friend Zhenko, the two Slovakian drivers in the McLaren. In the Aston Martin, we have a debut Finnish driver of Puto, and alongside him will be the ORT sports driver of Cohen Mesman. Then in the Alpine, we have a debutee and a returnee. The debutee of Vander Nat and the return of T Rex. Rhinoceros is back, and he has went from being in the assist tiers to now being in a full-time seat in F2. We had good times, and that means he will be a full-time driver in F2, and he is in the Alpine. Then in the Haas, we have a debutee of Alfie Bath, who is actually a no assist driver, but unfortunately his times has meant he's been dropped down into F2, and alongside him will be George Seri. Then in the Alfa Romeo, we have Noah Emmanuel racing for Zambia, I believe it is, and alongside him will be Joseph Burns, the Irish driver, the ORT esports driver as well. Then in AlphaTauri, another two great drivers together, I think, and they'll definitely do well together, and that is David Clark and Rodwell Iniesa. Rodwell, I'm sorry, I've probably said that wrong. But yeah, that driver pairing will also be very interesting to watch. I think they could also potentially challenge for the Constructors' Championship, because Rodwell, last season, he took the last win. He took the last win in Brazil as an F3 driver, and they done that. Malvin Allens, who makes a step up into line only, was the F4 champion last season, and he now takes a step up into F2 as a full-time driver. And then we have the debut driver of Phillips. So as Bashi says, Cameron Ennis said he loves you. Well, thank you, Ennis, and thank you, Bashi. So now, this is time. This is what we've all been waiting for. It's time to reveal the PlayStation F1 grid. Matthew says, where's Vili? Well, I can now say that Vili has went up a division. He's turned off the line. Ville is in PlayStation F1. We've had some mega drivers sign up for the season in F1, and I'm really happy to reveal this grid. Probably one of the most stacked F1 grids we've saw in a very, very long time. So yeah, pleased to reveal this. So here is PlayStation F1. So as you can see, there's quite a few big names and names which you will recognise, and some names which you might not recognise. Triple champ looking to make it a quadruple, trying to become the first ever quadruple champion in ERO history, and that is Aurelien Lepenru. He has been here since season 1, and he will go for his 4th championship this season. Of course, he races in PSGL F1. So yeah, that will definitely be a very it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the Red Bull. And alongside him will actually be the ace esports driver of Ludwig Luno. People might know him of. So yeah, that will definitely be an interesting lineup there. Then in the Mercedes, we have two interesting combinations of drivers, and that is Panos Nicolaides and Michael Onglen. I've definitely said Michael's name wrong. I'm sorry, but yeah, those two are together in the Mercedes. It's very interesting to see what that is going to be like because unfortunately Foley hasn't signed up for the season, who's normally been Panos' teammate, and I can't remember who was in the Mercedes last season. But yeah, those two are together in the Mercedes. Definitely will work great together because both of them were very high in the standings. I believe P4 and P5 in the standings actually. So that team right there, with their consistency and high performance across all the tracks, they could potentially challenge for the Constructors' Championship. Then in the Ferrari, we actually have two debut drivers here in PlayStation F1. First of all, we have Evan Kanai, or more known as Not Eve, from Norway. If I can remember correctly, he is the TGT. He is a TGT esports driver. And alongside him will be Noah Mormon, who is an EXT esports driver. EXT Nam is what he goes by. So yeah, those two have joined for this season. And yeah, I'm interested to see what those two can do for this season. Then in the McLaren, we have Max Rowe, again a triple champ, I believe, in ERO, maybe a double. I'm not entirely sure. I think a double actually. With Maxime Rodriguez, and alongside him is somebody who is also making his debut, but is actually quite famous on TikTok, and that is Gabriele Pretesi, or otherwise known as Alien J. So he's quite big on TikTok. I might be wrong, but like 1,000-ish followers, maybe more. I'm not entirely sure, but he will line up alongside one of the ERO OGs of Maxro in the McLaren. So it'll be interesting to see what those two can do there. And then in the Aston Martin, these two are going to work brilliantly together, and it's a double French drivers of Mustache, Morgan Mathieu, and a debut driver who races in OP esports. People will probably know Outplayed Racing. He races for OP, and that is Raphael Bieler, otherwise known as OP Twist. So he has joined for this season, for season 11 of ERO, and he is going to line up again. He's going to line up with his good friend Mustache to make it two French drivers in the Aston Martin together. Then, next up is going to be the Alpine, which actually sees two Polish drivers line up together, and that is going to be the man who's making the step up from F2, which is Franciszek Zorne, and that is IRT Frank, and Fabian Goracho. I definitely said that wrong. Irogoro. So yeah, that will definitely be interesting to see what they can do. Harrison and George both swearing about seeing Twist racing. Yeah, Twist has joined, so have fun, you two. Then in the Haas, we actually a load of teams as well have like two of the same nation. 5 of the 10 teams actually have this. In the Haas, we have the double German lineup, and that is Leon Baumgarten alongside the man who also makes a step up from F2, Jean Goring. Those two will definitely do great things together, and I'm really interested to see what they can do together. Then in Alfa Romeo, we have the two Finnish drivers, and we have Ken, or Kale Pukkanen, as people might know him by, and then we have the man stepping up from F2, being a 3-time champion in F2, the back-to-back champion in Season 9 and Season 10, now makes a step up to F1 on no line, and that is Ville Poiranen. Ville, I'm sorry, I've probably said your last name wrong there. But he will be alongside Ken, the two Finnish drivers, in the Alfa Romeo. Then in the Alpha Tari, we have Fernandez and Asnid. I think you should recognise them, but I'm not entirely sure. But David Fernandez, part of Jevi Esports, was looking to be alongside Diogo Marias, but unfortunately, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, Diogo hasn't signed up, so David is going to be alongside Nassim Asnid, which people might know him better as NLR Nassim. He steps up to full time. I believe last season he was a reserve. He steps up full time now. And the last team to reveal is then the Williams, which has two ET8 esports drivers lining up together, and both are making their debut this season, and that is Harrison Holmes and George Ansel. Those two will definitely do great things together. So then you can see who is in the reserves. And we have the man who could have taken a guaranteed seat because he was top 8 in Season 10, but he decides not to, and that is Brendan Gashi, more known as Bashi, the Albanian driver. Then the next driver, you should know, steps down from full time to a reserve, and that is Alessandro Zanetti. Zanetti steps down to a reserve because of work. I'm pretty sure it was. He steps down to reserve, but still nice to see him actually, well, still wanting to participate in ERO for the season. Then we have the returnee, the man who used to be an admin, left, got banned, but now comes back to be a reserve in F1, and that is Liam Cross. He returns for this season, and he will be a reserve. Hopefully, we'll see him race quite a few times. Then we have 3 French drivers all together, and these French drivers together is we have Goulit, Daya, and Falcon. Goulit actually just signed up today, and people might not know him. That is RCR Matt Zozo. And then Daya is, of course, RCR Aladini. Those two did want to be full time in seats together. However, unfortunately, they couldn't be placed. So they're both, unfortunately, going to be reserves. And then EXT Falcon, or otherwise known as EXT Duncan, will be a reserve for this season as well. Then Van Marassen, you can forget that name because he's left the server. So you can forget about Van Marassen. And then the last 2 drivers who will be reserving for F1 this season is the debutee of the United States driver of Antonio Howard. And lastly, we then have Mikael Rasquin, otherwise known as TFR Zintos. So that has been the grid, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this. I have definitely enjoyed this. Yeah, definitely look out for posts on social media. We will be posting the calendar, the sponsor, and all the grids. So definitely do make sure to look out for them. Matthew's saying staff reveal. Well, like I said earlier, The staff still to be discussed and still to be revealed, I guess you could say. We have got rough placements, but like I said, still to be discussed. But hopefully they will be out soon. You can check in the Discord. We do have a new channel. Of course, the Discord got rebranded by me, and we have a staff roster near the top of the Discord server. So be on the lookout in there, because that is where we are going to pretty much reveal the helpers for this season and who will be commentating and who will be commentating, stewarding, everything like that in each tier. So thank you everyone for watching today's grid reveal. I've definitely enjoyed it, and yeah, hopefully you all will enjoy this season for season 11 in ERO. For those who are still here, I mean, it's not really spoilers, but I can give a little info about season 12 because, you know, you're still here, so why not? So the prize pool for the season, of course, is all provided by Sim Racing Centre, €280 or just short of £240 worth of deals. Season 12, hopefully, if we continue to work alongside Sim Racing Centre for this season, we are hoping to have the season 12 prize pool being massive. We are going to hopefully have something similar with Sim Racing Centre, and also we will also be putting money into ERO now as well to extend the prize pool further. We're wanting to offer everyone like as much how do you say it, much motivation to something related to F1. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy that. Hopefully, like I said, €280 is this season. I'm gonna make a rough guess, and this could be off, but for season 12, hopefully, it's gonna be in and around the 500 to €600 range. Hopefully, that's where I want it to be. Quite a lot of the money is going to come out of my own pocket, and I'm willing to do that because I have a bit of money. So yeah, quite a bit of money will go towards the prize pool, and hopefully that also means we will get a load of the top drivers in. So hopefully season 12 will be the biggest Euro season ever with the prize pool, because who doesn't love money? Anyway, thank you all for watching this stream. I've definitely enjoyed it. The first race will be in 5 days' time, and of course, for those who don't remember, round 1 will be Hungary, so do make sure to watch out for that. That will be PlayStation F4 and PlayStation F3 in 5 days' time, then PlayStation F2 and Crossplay in 6 days' time, and PlayStation F1 in a week's time. But thank you. I've been Cameron Don. I will see you around in the Discord. I'll see you around in social media. But yeah, thank you everyone, and I hope you all have a great rest of your night and a great week ahead.